was the last of December, just as winter begins. Late in the evening, two companions dropped off to call on a long-time friend. And there was Conrad, his face all aglow, his little shop and home decorated with red ribbons and mistletoe. Conrad laughed and said, "Do come in. I've something wonderful to tell you. Please let me begin. Last night, as I was sleeping the night away, the Lord appeared to me in a dream and said, 'I will be your guest on Christmas Day.' So I've been busy with feet astir, hanging up bows and branches of green fir. My woodwork is polished, my pot for tea too. The table is spread, there is nothing left for me to do, only to wait and have tonight's rest, and tomorrow the Lord will be my Christmas guest." The friends were happy. They knew Conrad's family had long ago passed away, and he had spent many a sad and lonely Christmas day. They told him, "God bless you, Merry Christmas too," opened the door and then said adieu. For Conrad that night, how time slipped away. Why, he'd only closed his eyes and suddenly it was Christmas Day. The village was beautiful with new fallen snow. And inside by the fire, it didn't matter if the north wind did blow. He quickly washed and put on his Sunday best and settled down at the table, waiting for his Christmas guest. Was that a knock? He jumped to his feet, so joyful, so happy, how quickly his heart beat. "Come in," he said as he opened up the door. But his eyes fell on an old beggar. That was all, nothing more. The old man was shivering. His jacket was so thin it did little to protect him from the cold north wind. He slowly limped in. There were only rags covering his feet. "Here, sir, sit by my fire. I'll get you something to eat." And oh, your feet must be terribly cold. "Here, take these boots. They're still good and warm, though battered and old. And this jacket, this one lined with sheep's fur. It doesn't fit me now, but I believe it will you, sir." The man was warmed and his body well fed. He left with a smile, and to Conrad, "A bless you," he said. Conrad thought, well, perhaps the Lord has been delayed. Could it be there are others he will visit this Christmas Day? Then he heard it, a tapping sound. He was to the door in a single bound. He threw it open so wide. There was only a little old lady standing outside. "I'm sorry to disturb you, sir, on this Christmas Day, but I'm terribly hungry. Just a bite of food and I'll be on my way." Well, Conrad had fed the man earlier. Of course, that was not his best, but that was reserved for his special guest. Still, the woman was old and her face was so thin. Conrad smiled and said, "Welcome, please do come in." She's tiny, he thought, and surely I have more than enough. So he fed her choice meat and dressing and stuff with a cup of hot tea to add to her cheer. "You're so gracious, sir," she said, and in her eye was a tear. Well, the woman was gone, but the day was going too. The hours left in this one were only a few. Conrad's heart was heavy, his disappointment was strong. Then a noise in the street, and he knew he'd been wrong. This time, a little girl, a child about 8, frightened and crying outside his front gate. He went out and took the child in, dried her tears, and told her he would see her home again. The girl had been playing and just wandered away. Now she was lost, looking for her family on Christmas Day. He took her by the hand, and through the village they searched until they found her small home next to the town church. With the girl and her family reunited, he made his way home, opened the door, and just stood there alone. The shadows of evening were moving so fast. Christmas had slipped away. This hour had been the last. Conrad was crushed. He lowered his head. "I must have misunderstood you, Lord. In my dream," he said. "But I was so sure I heard you say you would be my guest on Christmas Day." A soft glow brightened the room. A kind, gentle voice shattered the gloom. "Ah, but you see, you and I did meet, for I was the beggar with cold, sore feet. I was the woman with nothing to eat, and I was the child alone in the street. 3 times I knocked. 3 times you bid me come in. Each time I found love in your heart, my friend. Of all of the gifts, it is love that is the best, and I have been richly honored to be your Christmas guest."